Hey there, this is Jacob with SurvivalGeek. Today we're going to be working on what I call a worm probe. Worm probe is a tool that we can use to find worms if we were to go fishing. Rather than buying bait on our own, we can pull them up from the ground via current or power, preferably from a wall or something like a car battery. So today I'm going to show you how to build one. They're rather simple to build. Supply list. And wrote this down so it'd be easier for you guys. Worm probe supply list. 2-prong, 16 gauge, general use extension cord. I got this stuff from Walmart, so this thing will be you'll purchase for around $3, $3.50 with taxes maybe. The cord for $1.40. Some electrical tape. And then a sign stake for $1. Get the cheapest roll of electrical tape they have in the tools section. Extra tools, scissors, bastard mill file, a wire cutter, stripper, a metal cutter, lineman's pliers, a hacksaw, a rotary tool like a Dremel tool, or anything like that will work. Like I said, you use what you have. If you don't have what, I'm sure you'll find something to use in place of it. A rough stone surface, concrete, cinder block. It can be even as something as you go to the Dollar Tree and find you one of their Dollar Tree sharpening stones. So those work very well. Use the rough side, and all you're going to do with that is at the very end over here, you're going to put a pointy tip on the other end. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can use a concrete patio or the road or a cinder block. It could be something rough, no problem. So that's that. The metal sign stake itself, they run it for $1. You'll find them in the sign section at Walmart where they sell mailbox stickers for putting numbers on your mailbox, or signs to put up for sale, or do not enter, or I mean, there's numerous different things there, but they'll have stakes and signs and wooden stakes and metal signs, stakes and everything like that. This particular one is designed to go on the ground and then hold a sign up here within these. They call them pigtails. So you purchase at Walmart, it'll say pigtail on the receipt. But we're just going to be using a portion of it for our particular worm probe. So what we're going to do is, I got a pair of lineman's pliers here. And I'm going to go as close as I can, right over here to the end. I'm looking to cut right here, directly off. So I want this gone, and I want this twirl to end right here in the center. So I'm going to squeeze really hard. And I don't care about cutting all the way through because it's scored on both sides once I squeezed all the way down, which will allow me to do this. Okay, breaks right off. Now, hold on for 1 second. So, bastard mill file. And this is typically sharp at the end. So we're just going to scrape over the sharp part. We're just trying to smooth it out some. If you don't have a bastard mill file, a sharpening stone will work as well. A grinder will work, a rotary tool will work. Any such thing like that will work as well. I'm just keeping it simple. So, there. Now it's not sharp anymore. Now onto our electrical cord. Now this is what confuses most people when you deal with electricity, electrical cords. What do you use? How do you tell what side of the cord to use for what? So you can buy these on eBay, by the way, for high prices for worm probes. Some people sell them as 2 worm probes going to the ground. Some people 1. This one only requires 1 probe. So we're going to open it up. Hyper tough This is Walmart brand, Hyper Tough, 6-foot, general use extension cords, repolarized outlets. It only has 2 prongs, 16 gauge, 6 foot. So, tear this off, we don't need it. Safety warnings. Okay. Hooray, safety warnings. Okay. So, we're not even going to use this as a cord, really. We're going to remove that altogether. Got my scissors here. Klein scissors. Yes, they cut metal. Okay. So, on a general use extension cord, you're going to see over here on the end, you're going to see 2 prongs. Okay. One prong is a little bit fatter than the other prong. See, one side's skinny, one side is fat on the end. Then I open it up all the way to the end. So now I got to this end. Now how do I tell which side is which? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my linemen's or wire cutters, doesn't matter, and cut this off. And pull these apart. Okay, so on every 2-prong extension cord that you're going to come across, majority of them, you're going to have, well, I say majority, I say every, so every one I've seen in my life, one side is smooth, and one side has ridges. See the ridges? Ridges on one side, no ridges on this side. Isn't that neat? Ridges. It's rough. It's got like ridge going across it. Ridges. Smooth side. Smooth side is positive. Ridge side is negative. Or your negative is also known as neutral. So we only want to deal with positive. We don't care about negative. So I'm going to pull back. I'm going to pull back about that much. Okay, 6 to 8 inches is what I typically use to make one. You can make them shorter if you want. And I'm going to cut my end off about here. So I have a little bit left over. Okay. Then I'm going to take my wire strippers and I'm going to strip off my wire about here. Okay. And to save everybody the trouble, to make things go shorter for this video, because I know my videos tend to get very long, I'm going to switch over to a second cable that I've already done. And all I've done is strip this one down. When you strip it down, you're going to have wires, and you're going to take those wires and you're going to twist them. Doesn't matter which direction, you pick a direction. Just keep twisting until they're all twisted together. See that? Then we're going to go back to our probe that we have here. Really quickly, I'm sure you guys own knives or razor blades. I'm just going to cut this tag off because it's in my way. So, use a little razor knife. This is a DeWalt. I know I'm in the South, everybody says DeWalt. I had the fortune of being raised without an accent. So, toss this aside. What we want to do, this is where everything gets easy. I want to take my electrical tape. I'm going to take a piece. I'm going to take this little pigtail I cut, or, well, not pigtail, this little short end, okay? And I made it a little bit shorter than the opposite end here. So this side has ridges, my short end. It is my negative side, or neutral. This is my positive. It's smooth on the side here. So I'm not going to use my negative side. So I'm going to put a little piece of tape over it. I'm going to wrap it around once. That way I know it's secured and out of the way. It's not touching anything. And I'm going to wrap it around here as well. Okay. And I'm going to leave that there. And come back to this. And put this one and this one together. I'm going to butt this end here. This end I'm not using. Kind of close to this piece here. Okay. Now I'm going to take my positive end. And I'm going to wrap underneath. And me, I make them a little bit stronger, so I'm just going to pull this pigtail apart a little bit. I'm going to tuck this underneath that, just so it has a, in my mind, it has a better connection. And for the record, I am a hobbyist, so I'm sure I've said that before. No, I'm not an electrician. But I've been doing this for a long time. I'm just going to coil it side by side. Okay? Then we're going to take that tape we had earlier. And you want to wrap that tape real tight. Go right over that piece you just did. Okay? And no, that's not the only wrap we're going to do. Now we're going to wrap electrical tape all the way around this piece here. We're going to wrap electrical tape all the way down here to about maybe 3 inches out. Okay? And we're also going to wrap it around this piece again, and also down the cord here, maybe another 3 to 6 inches down the cord. Okay, and to do that, and no one gets rich on selling worm probes, but I see too many people out there being, you know, I guess jerks about it, trying to charge people $40, $60, or whatever it is, to $40, $60. Sorry, some of my southern part kicking in. Charging people money to make something so simple as a probe. See? And we're going to continue to wrap another layer because we don't want any metal showing, or we might grab the metal and feel something going through our body we don't really want to experience. They make colored electrical tape, so if it makes you feel better, you may want to take like a small red piece and just wrap it around like the end over here, so you know not to touch past that point. I mean, in my mind, I know not to touch past the point, but whatever makes you feel safer. Okay, every time you go to wrap, pull tight. Pull tight, push through, pull tight again, push through, pull tight again. Okay. You'd rather it be just a little bit sticky than you getting shocked. And yes, electrical tape, you can just pull on it, it breaks. So we're going to start about right here. We're going to work this way again. Sorry guys, I know this video is already going long. But in the moment here, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to take you outside. It's nighttime outside, so it's pretty quiet outside. So I've got some lights set up. Show you how these things work. This particular version works a lot better than the bigger versions that you see other places, just because it can go a lot more places. I'm not saying it's as sturdy as some of the other ones, but I don't really care about that. I don't care about that because in life, everything is about finesse. You go too quickly with something and you end up breaking something. So, we're going to wrap around. We're going to get this extra layer in here. And you can do as many layers as you want to, honestly. You can make it nice and comfortable if you like. Cushiony. I know it looks grotesque already. You're like, ooh, who would ever touch that? But you're going to be holding it like this when you use it most of the time. So your fingers go through here, and you'll be able to push that probe in just about anywhere. What I like about the small one here, what's so unique about this one versus some of the bigger ones you see that are PVC pipe and everything else they put on them, is this one, if I run this at a 5 to 10 degree angle, I'm going to go right here on the edge again. So I don't want this cord bending too much and causing this line inside the break and the cord to fall off. So I want this thing to be, I'm going to adhere this part to here. So I'm going to bring it in here just a little bit. I don't want it to coil too much, but I also don't want it to bend that much. So what's unique about this particular one is that if I have grass in the yard, I can take my probe and I can run it directly underneath the grass at like a 5 degree angle, 5 to 10 degrees. I mean, almost straight underneath 5 or 6 chunks of grass throughout the yard. And then anything, typically if I have a probe that goes directly into the ground, anything in a 20-inch radius is what you're having worms come up different areas. And it is true, if they go pretty deep, they can bring up bigger ones depending on where you go. But I found that there are so many different ones underneath all the clumps of grass. With this one, I can slide it directly underneath every one of those pieces of grass that are underneath. We're talking 1 or 2 inches underneath the ground at an angle, going straight across. And now I've got everything within the distance of this and 20-inch radius from that as well. So every 30 seconds to a minute, I'll end up moving my probe, sometimes shorter. If I start getting a lot of luck, end up being longer. So I have an additional list here as well. So this is complete already, by the way. Here's our worm probe, hooray. So I don't want to touch this part. A few tips. Yes, if you wet the ground first, it's going to work better. If you use it in an area to where it has mulch, and you move the mulch off the ground, and that area is already wet because the mulch was sitting on top, it's going to work better there. Just the current travels through the ground, through the water, into the ground a lot better than dry ground. Not saying there's not worms in dry ground, there are, but that's just the case there. So additional supply list, I'll pop this up and play. Now this is the probe. You will need an additional extension cord to use it, regardless. So I did write down some prices here from Walmart. This is Walmart in Georgia. I'm sure it's that way across the country pretty much. Even the online prices are everywhere. They're about the same. They don't really differ too much. Extension cords, lowest price at Walmart. The brand name was Hyper Tough. Same thing for this cord here, Hyper Tough. 50 foot, 16 by 3. That's 16 gauge. Yeah, like this says 16 gauge. 50 foot, 16 by 3 means there's 3 prongs, 2, and then the ground prong. 50 foot, 16 by 3 orange extension cord, $11.44, or 100 foot, 16 by 3 green extension cord for $20. Okay, yeah, it's like $19.99, $19.97, somewhere in there. Still $20 regardless. Serving tongs. Lowest price at Walmart, Mainstay serving tongs. That's the brand name, 94 cents. a kitchen or lawn trash bag, and a pair of rubber or nitrile gloves. I found if I put the gloves on, I was able to touch the wet ground while my knees were on the trash bag, opened up, and I wasn't getting dirty with the trash bag. And I was not feeling any shocks or any that type of stuff, because you will find yourself, you'll be on your knees, or one hand will be on the ground, the other hand will be holding some prongs, picking up worms. The prongs, I'm sorry, the tongs, the kitchen tongs, you're going to wrap the handles like we did this, and slightly down the handle some. I'll show you mine when we get outside. You'll wrap the handles in electrical tape. So when you grab the prongs and use the tongs, when you grab the kitchen tongs, then you'll be able to, as worms start coming out of the ground, you'll be able to grab the worms with the tongs and put them in your bucket. If you see a big one coming out of the ground, wait till it gets 2/3 of the way out of the ground, or he will tear in half as a defense mechanism. They'll be worms. To me, worms are like cockroaches. They'll be here long after you're dead. You're not killing off the population. Believe me, they're eaten across half the known world by multiple different countries. They're known as a survival type of food. Again, you're not hurting anything, and really, if you're going the route that people, when they start complaining, they say, well, this will disrupt the reproductive lifestyle of the worm. Listen, I'm going fishing. I love to fish. I go fishing. I find bait. I either pull up rocks and everywhere I can find to find bait, or some people use buckets of soapy water, or I've heard different spices like cumin, or I'm sorry, mustard powder mixed in with water, different things like that to bring up worms. Ground walnuts, the pulp of it mixed with the water to bring up worms. Whatever it is, fresh walnuts, whatever it is, I'm not worried about the reproductive cycle. I want to pull them up so I can fish with them, so I can either eat fish or sports fish, whatever I'm going to do. The more harm comes to the worm when it actually goes on the hook than it does when you're pulling it out of the ground. In this case, it's actually still alive, so I'm not really looking at it in that aspect. You really shouldn't either when it comes towards that. So let me go ahead and pause this. I will move you outside and show you how these operate. So now we're at our outside destination. I plug my guy into the ground. And get you closer. And as you can see, I've already got several that are coming out of the ground. So here are my pliers. Here are my, not pliers, these are tongs. And I wrap the ends in electrical tape, like you see, so I'm not going to get shocked. I can grab my worms as they come out. You see there's one here. Okay. Grab my bucket over here. And I have bait. So I will take you. I'll put down my tongs for a second. And I'll grab my probe here that's plugged in. And my probe I could either stick straight down into the ground, like you see. And I did put a little bit of water on this area already. I just watered the ground a little bit. I'm going to put him into the ground. And as you can see there, move the probe over here. And already we're starting to have reactions. We got one coming up right here out of the ground. A lot of rocks on the ground, trying to reposition. You can see one moving right over here. See another baby coming out of the ground here. And then I can take my probe and turn them underways and run them underneath into the ground some. I got another big one right over here. Now, in your mind, you're thinking big as an earthworms, but in my mind, I can fish for crappie, I can fish for all kinds of things. It doesn't have to necessarily be as big as earthworms, and there are earthworms. But I'm not always really concerned too much about earthworms. To me, worms are worms, especially when you're fishing freshwater. I've seen other people make worm probes and daisy chain 7-8 of them together and put all of them in the ground 20 inches away from each other. Here's another one. See, I'm not having to touch them now. I am standing up. But if I chose to get on my knees and make it easier on myself, here's one I'm picking up again. Then I could do that. Just put the trash bag down, go that direction. And then I just pull this out and reposition it different places. The current will be stronger towards other types of worms in the area that may have not come up before, or there may be worms still coming out of the ground that didn't come up in the past, however many seconds it was in the ground, and you reposition the probe even 10 inches away, and you may have them come up as well. I find them right next to the patio between the brick and the grass is a great place as well. The ground just starts moving again. So let me take you over to the grass, show you how this works in the grass. Now we're back on the grass again. I get my light set up for this. I have my probe in the ground. Reach over here and grab this guy real quick. Nice little doozy. Here's how this works. This is my probe, and typically I can go in the ground. Yes, we know that already. But if it's a bigger gauge probe, it's going to end up leaving holes in the ground. So I wanted one that could not leave really too many holes in the ground, but still get an adequate amount of worms. So this one allows me to run it directly into the ground, but underneath the grass, like so. And already having more and more of its friends start coming out of the ground. Another one over here. And you'll see them just start crawling across the grass. It's very cool. I've even been on the ground, hand out, just sitting on the ground here, and seats in the ground. Ground's wet. It's been watered already, and I'm not getting electrocuted because I've got I've got the glove on right now, so I'm fine. No current, I'm not feeling anything. And I can reach over here easily and pick up worm after worm after worm, start loading them in. But I've had them crawl right across my hand before while I'm there, and I look around and I'm like, oh, where are you going? Thank you, and end up picking them up and taking them somewhere. But pull the probe back out again, stick the probe back in, and again, probe's level on the ground, okay? And we're just going underneath the grass, straight in. Just maybe an inch underneath the ground. okay? And just wait. Start looking around the grass. Yeah, in all areas around the grass. This is easier in the daytime. I didn't do this at day right now because it's just the cars and everything. It's a lot quieter at night. Let's do a video outside. Unless I take you guys to a park or something. This guy over here is starting to come out of the ground. There's another one. I just start looking around. If I don't see any more, pull that probe back out, stick them back in the ground again. Now I can go 3 inches if I want to. I can angle a little bit more and go a little bit deeper. See, I went that time, and come here, my little friend. You're not disappearing from me. Maybe you are. Oop. You got one there. See? And they just pop out of the ground. I see a garden hose with a wand on the end. It's at the shower, so you can do like a rain shower on the grass, and you just water the grass for 5-10 minutes, and then go back over and you know, as it's soaking into the ground, start collecting your bait. And some of them are going to be hiding away. Like this one here is just hiding. He's trying not to move too much. I just pulled one of his friends out of the ground and probably thinking, oh, I'm about to be harvested, so I'm not going to move. So there's another one. And you just start loading up your bucket. And whatever bucket you use, make sure you put about 3 or 4 inches of dirt inside of it. That way they want to hide naturally in the dirt, not crawl out of the bucket. And just pay attention to the ground, and the ground, you know, it'll just start moving. It's weird. You start looking and saying, you know, what in the world? I said, you do not need 2 probes with this. Most of the ones I was seeing for a while there, people were making them with just 2 probes, and like, oh, you're going to need a second probe to do all that. No, you're not. No, you don't. But you will need an extension cord. I've got some metal work lights I'm out here with right now. $100-watt bulbs. So, let me put my other light on.